Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel today. I'm out here in the outback of Australia. It's around about 30 degrees today, and I decided to bring out the mighty little CB125F for a run. Now the bike's done around about, I think, 260 kilometres, and more importantly, I was just curious to see how it'd handle a bit of dirt. So not only are we going to get pussyfooting along a nice little smooth dirt road, I've picked out what I think one of the worst roads around here to bring this bike out. And the reason behind that is, if you've been thinking about, you wouldn't mind a CT125 and they're around about $7,800, this may be an alternative. Really, it's a street bike or around town commuter, but we'll see if it can handle this dirt road out on this one too. So here's a picture of it next to the railway line where I am now, and we're just about ready to get on it and take it for a run. So what'll happen now, I'll probably get up here and I'll ride about 500 metres up the road, and then I'll swing to the left. Oh no, I'm not going to go that way today. I think I'll swing to the right and cross the railway line, and we'll go out into some really, really rough country. So just waited for that car to get past, because you have to be careful. I'm in a 100 kilometre zone, and you could swing out of these side cuttings and then get wiped out. So the idea is to head up here, we're going to swing over this bridge, and after that the party starts and it's virtually all dirt. This is a nice little spot here. I was here going back a few days back and took a few drone shots here, which was pretty good. And I decided today, on my way out, why take the safe bet going up and down the seal stuff all right, just see how this 125 handles this. Now, even though you're riding along here now, or I'm riding along now at the moment, it might look all right. It's a lot rougher than what you think, and there's a lot of potholes in it. And I have noticed straight away that the CB125F has bottomed out a couple of times when I've been riding on this little bit of a section here. It's a fairly loose surface, so you have to be careful too, but so far so good, and it seems to be moving along at about 40 kilometres an hour there. I just noticed there's a crop plane sitting over there in the paddock too, so I don't know what's going on that way, but he must have his own strip over there. And as we look over there now, there's the plane just sitting there, out and open, no one around, just him. So we're going to swing up through this area, and I've noticed now on a lot of the gates they've got 1080 poisoning out for wild dogs. So you have to be a little bit careful out here if you've got dogs or anything like that if you come along this track, because if they pick up a bait, they'd be as good as dead. And a few sheep on the road here too, because these are sort of just public access road. You can ride through these properties, so either side of these properties is, this is actually private land, but you can ride along, and what a nice dam it is there on the left hand side. So apart from that, you're getting into some really good scenery, and sometimes you have to be careful when you cross those ramps, because if you get it wrong you can sort of get tossed a little bit off course. But I just decided I'd pull up here and have a look at the view, and here's a quick shot of the bike there, taken with the other camera, and we're back on the road again, and once again through another ramp. So like I said, you have to be careful when you hit those, because they've got potholes either side of those ramps and they can throw you off course. And once again, the scenery out this way is nice and dry, and a car just passed me there. Now I'm smothered in dust from this experience riding along this road. And plus, not only the sheep, you have to watch out for the cattle too. See, the cattle are everywhere here, and like I said, this is a privately owned property except for the land. Now this is a strange one. This little stretch of bitumen that goes down into this cutting, that's just to stop cars getting flooded on one side or the other in case of heavy rain. So I pulled up again at this spot and decided I'd have a look around, and now I'm doing a voiceover because I had a mic failure there. But if you'll notice in the far distance there, see that dark cloud on the horizon? Well, that's a sign there's a bushfire in that area, and that's exactly into the area we're going. So while I was at this spot here, I decided to get out my other camera, fire a few shots, and mightn't look much where I am standing now, but when you look back down into the gully I just come up here, really pretty place out there, like in that area there where I am. So I got no complaints except for the fact it was well over 30 degrees, and that was putting a bit of pressure on me in that way as far as the heat goes. And lucky I brought with me on this particular ride, because I've passed two cars so far, and apart from that, that's the only two cars I'd seen in that first section of the track, and this track goes for quite a few kilometres. And once again, you know, they got their signs up every time you get to one about the wild dogs, sheep on the road, all this other crap as you go along. And you can also see heavily the cloud again in the background from that bushfire, or should I say the smoke from the bushfire. So as I was going down along this little road here, there was a really pretty little dam there on the left-hand side, and I don't know, I suppose there was a good 100 ducks on that dam as I went past, so it was fairly popular. And this is how close this private road goes, right through this guy's property. So the road just comes here, he's got his houses either side, one over to the right, the main house, and there you ride straight through the middle of it. And I tell you what a spooky looking tree this one is when I come past. I would like to be parked under it under a dark night out here, but that's the way it goes. Now we're getting into the rough section now, where we're heading down in towards the area where I'm giving the bike a bit of a workout, and as usual, ramps all the way. And you'll also notice now that the bushfire smoke is really intense over there in the horizon there. So we're heading down to this area where it gets extremely rough, and hopefully you'll enjoy this part of it. I noticed the track's deteriorated quite a bit too. So I got off the bike just here and decided I'd walk down and have a look on the creek, and when I went to this little creek I noticed something jumped in the water and couldn't see anything around, and it was either maybe a large lizard, or it could have been in this area probably near the creeks. There's always red belly black snakes, and I've known them to sort of jump off the bank, get into the water, and they'll lay in the water there for half an hour or so, and then sneak back out when things are better. But what I'm showing you here on this crossing is that on the far side of it here now, where the rocks are, you'll see how rough it is. So I had to bring the little CB125F across that fairly gingerly, you could say, because I didn't want to take the risk of causing any damage to the bike. And while I was there, I decided to take a couple of photos there too. And I think after that we might swing back now, and we might just let the bike run along, and then you can just listen to the natural sounds, and you won't have to listen to me anymore, and you can just listen to what it's like to run along. And you'll probably come across areas where I've hit a few bad bumps and you hear me grunt from the suspension, but overall, you know, I'm fairly happy how this little bike ran along, and I got no complaints whatsoever. And it's just remarkable what a 10 horsepower $3,800 bike will do, and you don't need $20,000 bike to get out there and have a bit of fun. So we'll head on the way down this track here, and we'll go from there, and you'll be able to just see what it's like and how it climbs all these natural hills and stuff like that. And I think it only struggled a little bit in one section, and that's right at the tail end, and that's where the really bad part of the road. But in actual fact, from now on, the road does deteriorate quite bad, and you've got to be really careful and go easy on the brakes. And I did miss one line at one stage and went a bit wide on one of the corners, but apart from that, I'll go silent now for a while, and you can just watch this and see what you think, and we'll head on. Who would have thought one of these little 125Fs had run this track? Just shows you what you can do when you ride the conditions. And it gets worse. Bit rough here. We've had a lot of rain in this area, and that's why all the ruts are on this road. Like, rain just comes down heavy, carves the channel in the road, buggers it up. Four-wheel drives come along, I suppose, and then chop it up worse. So it's very hard to win. I wonder where we see any goats down here. There are goats in the area. Only trouble is I haven't got my drone, but I'll be watching out for them anyway. Look at the kangaroos up ahead. Bit of a steep pinch here. Gear change. Into second. Third gear. See this sign here? wild dog poison. Must be a problem around this area. Wow, it's rough here. It's on the bike that shakes the guts out of you. Pretty steep climb this one. Hope those sheep get out of the way. I'm in second and I may have to go to, oh no, I think I'll get over in second. Okay, I just thought I'd pull over here and we'll swing over to that hill there. So if you look at that far hill, what I'll do, I'll take 3 shots and get in a bit closer, so long range, medium and up close, and then you'll get a bit of an idea of how far that is, which is quite a few kilometres away. And once we get over to that spot, you'll most likely recognise the area where I'm going to stop. So that's one good thing. From here you can look straight across and see roughly where we're going. Goats. Yeah, well, I must admit this is a bonus for sure. So I've just been looking in all directions as we going along while hanging on to that GoPro support mount, and all of a sudden, just in this section here, up comes a mob of goats, and on there on the left-hand side, and it's going to be really hard to see them in this GoPro camera because it's got no zoom on it. But what I will do, I'll pull out the other camera while I'm here and see if I can snap up a few shots and just show you on a still shot what the goats are like on that hill there. But there's, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50, so there's a good mob of them, so that'll be sort of interesting. And that ticks something else off on the list coming along here, and it was a bit of surprise running into them because it's pretty dry upper on the top there, but for some reason they hang around the creek areas and the blackberries, and this is a perfect spot for them. Okay, it looks like a straight up climb. Back to second gear. Steep this one. Do the first, second gear, first, bit of a wheel stand then. Back to second. Bit of a slide in the third. Bit hard to ride along, so I've got to hold the GoPro gooseneck mount because that Chinese one shit, just rubbish, just won't hold. Back to second. Oh no! Far out! Jeez. Almost lost it then. It's pretty hard to hold the camera and steer this too. Pretty steep this, I'll have to go back first. hard on this motor, like that's only done about 280 or something. Track's so rough. Far out. Like riding a horse. Or should I say one of those buckers. Getting steeper. Oh, far out. Either this is rough. Let's just stop here and I'll show you where I am. Better get neutral. You can have a look around, look at that for a view. Okay guys, we've hit the top of this hill, or almost to the top. There's the top there. We'll swing around and just show you how far this little CB125F has climbed. What do you think of that? Pretty impressive, isn't it? That was a lot steeper than you might think. What I might do, I'll get back with the camera just on the other side of the bank here, fire a shot across so I can give you a better idea. Okay, let's get to the top of this hill so we can call it quits. How rough this road is. Back to first. Might swing along a little bit further, see if we can get a clear shot of this fire up ahead. Bit of a bushfire burning along, so thankfully we've peaked that. We've got another big steep hill to come up, but apart from that, I think, well, I actually think I've had enough. That's what I think. Been an interesting run anyway. Okay, we might pull up when we get to the top of this one. I'm in third gear, might have to go back to second. We'll try this one on second. Taking it easy. It's a bit rough here. And remember, this bike is just totally stock tyre and everything, just as I bought it. Nothing done to it. Wow. Look at that bushfire going out there. That was worth that little bit extra to come here. Yeah guys, so that was worth that little bit of trouble to come up here. See the bushfire burning in the background? Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll get my camera out and I'll snap a couple of shots up here and we can have a look at them later in the shots. Well guys, this isn't a bad view out here. You can see for, I don't know, at least hard to judge how far you can see, but it'd probably be 10 miles at least when you look across this valley here where I am now, looking over towards that bushfire on the right. And there's one, so we've got one burning on the right, one about midway, and right over to my far left, another one just there too. Now from where I am here, you can see a 180 degree shot of one side to the other, and when you're looking for houses out here, this is how remote I am. Sure, there's a bit of a road coming down through this way, but the only house I can see is about 3/4 away to me left, and it's either a house or it's a four-wheel drive over there where they might be doing a fire break or something like that. But apart from that, I can't see one house in there as from this vantage point here, but that's the way it goes. Apart from that, it'll be getting a bit late shortly, and then it'll be getting a little bit to the dark stage, so I've got to get out of here because I'm in really highly populated rude territory and I've got to get this bike home, and I'm a good hour from home or further, or probably longer. Now one thing before we sum up, I'll just tell you now, this little CB125F, it's going really well on this track. I've had no trouble whatsoever. Sure, it was a little bit underpowered on a couple of the hill pulls and the suspension's a little bit soft, but for $3,800, if you look at this, $4,000 cheaper than the CT125 Trail. Well, if you can't afford one of those CT125 Trail and you bought one of these, and you never know, you might be able to put some more aggressive tyres on it or something to that effect. But the fact is, you know, like when I hopefully put this clip together and they come up all right, you'll probably be able to say, well, that little bike of yours sort of performed really well under really rough conditions and not many people would take it in. But the fact is, as I wouldn't recommend you go in and do anything like this on them. It's really a round town runner and a little bit maybe out along the road where speed limit's up to about 80 k's, although I was cruising at 90 at one stage. But apart from that, you know, I think it handled it quite well. It's not a bad ride, comfortable and stuff like that. You know, the brakes aren't too bad. I've had no issues anywhere on it except that last hill where the front wheel lifted, because it's the hill was so steep, and once I give it a little bit of throttle in first, it lifted. But apart from that, you know, it's handled this quite well, and gear shift's all right. Like I said, seats comfortable. The suspension is soft, so you know it's not meant for this sort of work. But you know, if you take all this into account, you know, it's just remarkable what you can do on a, you know, like a bike that costs $3,800 and ride away. And I think it's far better bike than the CB125E because it was carby, and I found that that they were really a vibrating bike and very hard to start when cold, where this one starts first time all the time. And apart from that, that's about all I can tell you on the bike. That you know, it seems to be going all right on fuel, but would have used a lot more fuel on this one, I think, too, because I've been a little bit harder on it with all the hill climbing and that coming through. But I think I better close now, get on this bike and get out of this hole of a place before it gets dark, because I did bring a little torch along with me just in case I struck any drama and had to do some walking. But if I can avoid it, I don't want to walk, and I want to get out of here before those roos get active, because they'll be out in full force in here because they're not annoyed by anyone, and they'd be hanging around close to the roads. But once again, thanks for tuning in. Take a look. If you've enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be okay too. So apart from that, I'll get on the bike, head off, and we'll catch up with you later.